Hi, I'm Wes, and I have an unusual story to share with you about how I was scared to death, half naked, looking down the barrel of an M16 rifle, heart pounding, moments from pulling the trigger, 2 seconds from almost being killed,
to be suddenly slapped over the head with a bizarre binder that saved the life of Patricia Ron, a 45-year-old out-of-shape woman who had a sudden heart attack caused by symptoms she didn't even know she had.
to mysteriously lose over 38 pounds in a few short weeks without a sign of any health problems to save her own life. Yep, you heard me correctly, 38 pounds in a few short weeks, going from this to this without any surgery, pills, or butt-busting workouts whatsoever. And you'll be shocked, maybe even disturbed, when you discover the unconventional method used to melt away all her unwanted body fat and miraculously boost her energy and enhance her youthful appearance many times over.
Patricia was frustrated with her weight for years, following the usual advice of fitness experts such as cranking up the cardio and dieting more. But the breakthrough came from an unlikely source, from one of the top universities in Massachusetts, that would change her life forever.
A method so effective and so outlandish, I quit my job and dedicated my life to spreading this unusual secret to the masses. And in the next 3 minutes, you will discover the malicious nutritional lies that not only hinders your weight loss efforts,
But even worse,
you could have the early signs of heart disease or inflammation right now and not even know it.
lies such as why salty foods such as chips and French fries are not the culprit for weight gain.
Also, how certain grocery and restaurant vegetables that most people think are healthy create serious thyroid problems that add fat to your stomach area, even if you are busting your butt in the gym every day.
Not to mention the counterintuitive reasons hailed by Dr. Mercola of why extreme cardio like marathon running and over-exercising eventually causes heart scarring and accelerates the aging process. Or the scientifically proven truth on how fat-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, and low-carb diets will accelerate your weight because of 2 body-fattening amino acids that are lurking in most of our foods you think are healthy. This might be scary to hear, but you're going to discover the 2 acids that are injected into most foods that we've been led to believe are healthy. Both of them transport deadly trans fats right into your bloodstream, destroying the body's metabolic system and halts the production of thyroid hormones, especially in women, which results in abnormal fat storage, specifically around your stomach and thigh area. But the most unusual thing is Patricia Ron's miraculous breakthrough would be revealed when I was shipped off to serve my country in Iraq, trapped in a bunker with soldiers, seconds from almost being killed. But on the bright side, if you stick with me to the very end of this short video, you will hear some fat secret diminishing methods you've been waiting for your entire adult life. So be sure to handle your mouse with care. One accidental click could mean missing out on information that could save your life like it did Patricia's. You are going to be shown the exact fat melting system that is scientifically proven to rapidly and permanently melt away every chunk of fat off your body, dramatically catapulting your vitality, boosting your energy and sex drive to optimal levels, significantly minimizing your risk from life-threatening metabolic diseases like hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, and slow down the effects of aging on your body in as little as a few short weeks from now. This fat melting method will deliver you a total body transformation, requires no supplements, no sweaty workouts, no crazy diet plans, no overpriced ineffective weight loss products, and doesn't require any pump yourself up motivation rituals to do it. And it will work for people of any age, any body type, and in any state of physical health because the scientific method is based on sound physiology and anatomical principles. But before we go any further, I must warn you of something. The weight loss industry is filled with blood-sucking, money-hungry vultures, the sneaky marketing masterminds behind Atkins, Weight Watchers, and the infamous beach body bozos, the ones who have been secretly making billions of dollars off your pain and suffering, while behind your back, raking in profits, seducing you to buy their next product with more lies and false claims. But what really pisses me off is this. Everything I've studied in the past 10 years about nutrition and melting away belly fat was utterly wrong. In fact, I had to leave the country to discover the unusual weight loss secret you're about to see right inside this video.
And once you hear the truth, you will immediately feel a sudden boost of energy, stamina, and youthful vitality in the first week.
Imagine feeling a jolt of energy tomorrow morning like you did in your 20s. Even if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s right now, you will see your stubborn belly that hangs over your belt or pokes out of your dress completely vanish. You will suddenly look and feel 10 times healthier than you have in the last 20 years. And you will find that all of the symptoms and causes of your most major health conditions, things like hyperthyroidism, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, chronic joint pain,
will all rapidly shift back to normal in a matter that is so unbelievable, so unimaginable, it would make even the most dedicated atheist look up to the sky and say there is a God.
Now, the secret I'm about to share with you is so simple, so easy, that even in the next few days, the results you will see in the mirror are going to be indescribable and so astonishing that it probably sounds almost unbelievable when you first hear about it. You will likely wonder how something like this got past you in the first place.
To be honest, quitting my job and putting myself in harm's way to support my country by joining the armed forces, I felt the exact same way when I was first told about the incredible scientific breakthrough about a fat-burning cycle buried in the human anatomy that Westerners, Canadians, Australians, and European countries were not privy to.
At first, I thought this was a bunch of hogwash, feeding me a lot of false claims I've already heard before.
But it felt unreal observing the rapid body transformations of once out-of-shape courageous soldiers on a C-130 flying home, excited to show their families how fit and lean they were.
Seeing Patricia's body physically transform right before my eyes, and seeing the outrageous weekly growth of my weight loss camp of thousands of people just like you and me, all try it out for themselves and experience unbelievable, unheard of, life-changing results. I was absolutely convinced that what I'm about to share with you will give you the lean, healthy physique and confidence you either always wanted but never had, or once had and lost decades ago.
But the most mind-blowing was this. It will diminish several toxins, free radicals, and heavy metals from your body to free up unused energy that will have you feeling light and young again. And not to mention, it will totally breathe new life into every bad cell in your body, addressing all of your medical problems, conditions, and diseases, and genetically lowering your age on a cellular level, similar to a 23-year-old.
That is exactly what happened for Crystal in Houston, Texas. She lost more than 30 pounds and several inches in a very short period of time. She was shocked in a J. Crew dressing room when she discovered she dropped from a size 15 dress to a size 9.
Or even Charles from Houston, Texas, who lost 40 pounds in 5.5 weeks and saved over $200 a month because he didn't have to purchase any more type 2 diabetic prescriptions from his drugstore.
Or Linda from Detroit, Michigan, who used this simple method you're about to discover to lose over 30 pounds in her first month. Or James from Rockford, Illinois. He lost 20 pounds in less than 4 weeks while on the road traveling to work. And not only did he lose his unwanted body fat, but he also looks and feels way younger now. Here's what Jennifer from Little Rock, Arkansas says. What you shared in your presentation was amazing, especially toward the end. Before I watched your video, my doctor said I was 25 pounds overweight and my blood pressure was off the charts. I didn't think there was hope, and I thought it was over. Even though I was so skeptical at first, after you explained the science behind the technique in such an easy-to-understand fashion, I figured I would give it a try. That was the best decision I have ever made, and it has only been 33 days and I've already lost 26 pounds. That's 7.5 pounds a week. And incredibly enough, I am medically no longer considered a diabetic. I can't believe how powerful this stuff is. Thank you for sharing. Those are just a few of the tens of thousands of off-the-cuff success stories I've received, and I will reveal a few more with you in a minute. But before I do, it is important I tell you how this works and why it will not only transform your body, but also save your life. Like I mentioned before, my name is Wes, and yep, you guessed it, I'm a single dad. And here's me and my munchkins being silly in a photo I took a week ago. And even though being labeled as a celebrity trainer by my peers, rubbing elbows with top fitness infomercial gurus such as Shark Tank, Class Act, Kevin Harrington, and transforming men's and women's bodies at some of the largest weight loss camps in the country.
Looking back, it almost feels surreal, and it was a humbling feeling to be labeled as the top world authority on body transformations. who has the reputation of taking the most challenging clients from other trainers and completely transforming their bodies in weeks.
But I'm really no different than you. I just stumbled upon an unusual formula that radically changed Patricia Ron, a 45-year-old out-of-shape woman whose transformation, as you can see, is pretty darn incredible. And I will tell you a secret. Not only does she look and feel physically better, she is stress-free and has the childlike energy to share special family moments with her daughter and hubby.
But like most of us, including myself, Patricia was still skeptical.
Even though she looked physically amazing and had the energy of a 25-year-old, she wanted medical scientific proof. So she went as far as getting a full physical done at the Mayo Medical Clinic, including genetic scans and detailed lab analysis.
The doctors all concluded that
even though she was in her 40s, her body, from a biological standpoint, had the anatomical makeup of a 26-year-old. That's a pretty remarkable thing to be told by some of the most respected doctors in the world. But it's even more remarkable when you consider that just years ago, Patricia was an out-of-shape diabetic woman who suffered from hypothyroidism, feeling tired and sluggish all the time. Even the MRI scans were so dreadful, the doctor told her it wasn't safe for her to drive home. And even though Patricia wanted to do better, she felt too lazy and tired after work to run on the treadmill or do any type exercise at a sweaty, germ-filled gym. But she didn't realize things were that bad. It all happened so soon. I still remember my heart dropping to the floor when Patricia told me the horrifying incident that almost took her life on June 2012. Patricia was training for her first 3K marathon, jogging with her daughter at the park. But soon she noticed her training was getting harder rather than easier. As she struggled, she told herself she just wasn't working hard enough and just pushed herself harder and harder. 2 miles into a long run, she felt a burning sensation on the right side of her stomach and throbbing chest pains, which made her drop to her hands and knees,
breathing harshly as if she was having a severe asthma attack.
And instead of stopping and patting herself on the back for running 2 miles, which she hadn't done in years, she got up, still feeling stomach and chest pains, pushed herself to run an additional mile. And this is where everything went wrong. Patricia, who was only 43 at the time, didn't realize those were warning signs. Something was seriously wrong with her heart. 4 days later, around midnight on a Saturday night, she had a painful feeling in her chest. So painful, it was hard for her to breathe. She'd had spicy Thai food for dinner and figured it was just heartburn. She took some antacids and sat up for a while, hoping the pain would go away. But the one thing we fear most was about to happen to Patricia. When both arms started to ache, she took a pain reliever. However, a few hours later, she still had pain and began searching for answers online. Many sites suggested heartburn, but one described her symptoms as like those of having a massive heart attack. As if on cue, she immediately broke out into a cold sweat. By then, it was 8 a.m., and she knew she needed to rush to the emergency room. She even drove herself to the emergency room, suggesting her husband stay home to take her daughter to camp in case she didn't return home in time. That visit to the doctor would change her life forever. On June 6th, she would be told her BMI was over 40 and was pre-diagnosed with symptoms of heart disease as a result of her weight. 1,000 things ran through her mind at the moment her doctor gave her those devastating words. Everything was so loud inside her head that she could barely hear her own thoughts. She would leave the doctor's office in disbelief that evening. She didn't get a wink of sleep that night. She must have walked into her daughter's room 1,000 times that night, wondering if she'd be lucky enough to see her princess grow up. But then frustration and anxiety kicked in. She kept wondering, will I get to see my daughter grow up? Will I be able to accomplish the things I'm trying to accomplish, like finishing my degree and getting my business off the ground? As she watched her daughter get on the bus the following morning with a smile and a wave goodbye, she stood in the doorway almost in tears, wondering, how many more mornings do I get to enjoy this sight? Frankly, it was one hell of a wake-up call for Patricia, especially because prior to the incident, she didn't know how bad her health really was. Sure, she knew she needed to lose a few pounds. However, over time, her clothes started to feel tighter and tighter, month after month and year after year, and embarrassingly, she also noticed her stomach and muffin top was getting bigger, and before bed she would turn the lights off so her husband couldn't see the disgusting sight of the cottage cheese on her thighs and bum. But like most people, she thought of herself as a fairly healthy person. And before the daily chest pain, she was trying all kinds of popular weight loss systems, diet fads like going on low-carb and gluten-free diets. But weight loss systems like 21 Day Fix, Atkins, Jenny Craig, and Weight Watchers are all about restricting your diet, counting calories, and starving yourself. She really thought she was doing the right thing, but sadly, she was always disappointed in the end. She would complain of always being hungry at night, and what she soon discovered was that these diets forced her body to store fat. Her body was in complete survival mode. Her body hung on to the few calories she was taking in, and then converted them to fat because she was depriving herself of carbs, which is how your body refuels and gathers energy.
And she thought this was probably the reason, no matter how much she would eat vegetables and exercise,
she still could not drop a single pound, and her muscles wouldn't take shape because she lacked the necessary proteins and nutrients needed to grow them. She would get sick to her stomach, thinking about all the money she wasted on the Weight Watchers, Paleo, South Beach, and Beachbody diet programs that all sucked the money straight out of her bank account. She complained to me that the 21 Day Fix and Weight Watchers portion meals were just too small. She was always hungry after 6 p.m. and couldn't fight the urge to eat. And to make things worse, her doctor also found she had a significant increase in her LDL levels, which is bad cholesterol, and her body was so toxic with fat, her triglycerides levels were over 300, which is critical and could lead to heart disease. Feeling overwhelmed and depressed one evening, she fell to the kitchen floor and bursted into tears, not knowing her daughter was peeking around the corner. She came from behind the door and gently hugged her neck with her sweet, innocent voice. She told her mom the most unusual thing. "Don't cry, Mom. Jesus is going to send you a miracle."
Looking confused, she hugged her daughter and cried on her shoulder, while her daughter gently rubbed her back.
However, doomsday would come on the very next day. Sitting nervously with her legs crossed, waiting impatiently as the minutes tiptoed past like well-marshaled field mice in feather slippers, he said, "Patricia, if you don't lose at least 30 pounds in the next month, I'm not sure how long your heart would be able to withstand your body's current weight. Waiting so long and pushing your health to the side for so many years has caused your blood pressure to reach 160/100.
Your BMI is north of 30, and your cholesterol levels are off the charts."
From years of eating the wrong foods and doing the wrong type of exercises, the fat and cholesterol buildup was immense. Your arteries are in the first stages of hardening, that even very expensive weight loss surgery would be too risky at this point. Patricia was completely devastated and felt even more defeated, almost helpless, thinking to herself, "There's no way I can lose 30 pounds in the next 30 days when I haven't lost 20 pounds in the last 4 years." Now, I'm not telling you any of this to be a sob story or sympathy for Patricia. I'm sharing her story with you because everything happened so fast. Even though she didn't really think she was all that unhealthy, she thought she was just getting up in age.
That is the scary thing about getting older. There is that ticking time bomb inside of you, and it starts counting down at a faster and faster rate. And whether it is inflammation, heart disease, a stroke, or diabetes, or whatever, all of a sudden, any day could be your last. Over the next few days that followed, she was advised to get her affairs in order, explain her condition to her family, and figure out who would take care of her daughter if the worst would happen.
But one thing she dreaded to do was find the words to tell her 9-year-old daughter that she might not be alive to see her turn 10, which was only a few weeks away. But her baby, who she loved to death, repeated those unusual words, "Jesus is going to send you a miracle, Mama." Even though Patricia wasn't an overly religious woman, deep down inside, she hoped it was true. And that is where her story would have ended if an unexpected, life-threatening event that almost wiped me from the face of the earth had not saved her life. I still remember it like it was yesterday. On September 11, 2001, when 2 planes suddenly crashed into the World Trade Center in New York City, my heart sank to the floor as I was watching innocent people jump from the Twin Towers, never to be seen again by their families. And after feeling pissed, hurt, and angry all at the same time, 5 years later I was deep in the trenches, suited and booted, fighting for my country in the dangerous sands of Iraq. After a week of hitting the ground, I was training the troops day and night in an effort to get them in the best shape possible so they could pass their mandatory physical fitness evaluation, which was in weeks. However, I'm embarrassed to say, at that time, I was failing miserably as a trainer because the soldiers, who were all middle-aged men and women with all types of medical ailments, did not lose an ounce of weight. We tried drinking more water, kicked all carbs to the curb. I even went as far as hiding the salt shaker from the dinner table. However, the needle on the scale wasn't budging, and their bodies were not taking shape. But then something incredible happened. Something I would have never thought possible would be shared with me in my tent that night by a young medical student from Thailand by the name of Severino, who was recently kicked out of Harvard Medical because he refused to keep quiet about a classified, undocumented medical breakthrough that he conducted a few months ago. As he was making his rounds, he mentioned he saw me training that evening and could feel my pain and frustrations. He came close to my ear and whispered, "Wes, I can tell you're training from the heart, but what you're doing is backwards. Your exercise routines are too long. The carbs your soldiers are eating should be tripled, and their bodies will continue to store fat and lose energy if you keep kidnapping the salt shaker from the dinner table." As you can imagine, I was confused, but then he gave me the science behind it that blew me away. He said the reason why any man or woman who is not losing weight in their 30s, 40s, 50s, or even 60s is because their bodies are experiencing metabolic acidosis. I said, "Metabolic who?" He told me that metabolic acidosis occurs when your kidneys can't get rid of food acid properly. This causes your body to store fat and knock your fat-burning cycles out of sync. And no matter how hard you beat the pavement by exercising to death, wearing trash bags, sitting in hot saunas trying to sweat the fat off, going on restricting diets and pouring water down your throat until you pee clear, you will never lose an ounce of fat.